The disease that causes hand, foot and mouth disease is not related at all to foot and mouth disease in livestock. The disease, foot and mouth disease, is a viral disease of livestock. It occurs in cattle, buffalo, sheep, pigs and goats, or otherwise known as cloven-hooved animals, and is spread by direct contact between infected animals or equipment which has the virus, or animal products which might have the virus on it.
Well, it is highly contagious among livestock. How deadly is it? How much of a concern is it at the moment?
So the main impacts, Yvonne, is really around morbidity. So the impacts that the disease has on causing lameness. The disease causes blisters, painful blisters on the mouth, the nostrils, teats and udder, and on the hooves of animals. So what that then leads to is lameness, is reduced milk production, painful eating, so reduced appetite. It can also cause abortion in some animals and death in young animals, or animals that have perhaps other diseases or comorbidities. Whilst the disease may not cause a lot of mortality, its impact is actually very widespread due to its impacts on lameness and reduced milk production, and in countries like Indonesia, reduced traction where animals are used for ploughing fields and things like that.
How often do we see such outbreaks, and how quickly has it spread in Indonesia?
So the disease has been present in Southeast Asia for a number of decades, but it was eradicated in Indonesia back in the 1990s with help from Australia over a period of decades. So it hasn't been present there since the 90s, and then was detected in May this year.
What's Indonesia doing to try to stop the current spread, and what are the challenges authorities face in doing so?
So there are some really big challenges, Yvonne. The main challenge was that when the disease was detected, it was already widespread. So it was already present in the islands of Java, Sumatra, and also in parts of Kalimantan. And those are islands in Indonesia which the main population exists on. So the main challenge that the Indonesians have was that the disease was already widespread when it was first detected. In addition to that, the disease was detected around the same time as the Ramadan and Eid festival that comes after Ramadan. What happens during those times is there is a mass amount of movement of animals over that time. So that really provided a challenge for controlling the disease, which is usually done by early detection, identifying those infected animals, infected farms, restricting their movement, and then doing broader surveillance to determine where the disease may have spread from those infected properties. So Indonesia currently faces challenges around early diagnostics, as well as then vaccination is also another main control measure that is used. It took Indonesia about 6 weeks to get access to vaccine, which is also been a main challenge for their response to the disease.
And Phoebe, now that the disease has been detected among cows in Bali, the concern is that Australian travellers could bring it back home with them. How so?
Sure. So as I've mentioned, the disease is spread through contact with either infected animals or infected animal products, or carried on equipment such as boots or clothing or bags that might have been present next to infected animals or have virus on them. So that is how travellers, say in Bali or other infected countries, can bring the disease back into the country. And certainly the detection of the disease in Bali does increase the risk for Australia, given that there are obviously a lot of Australians who travel to and from Bali and to and from Indonesia, and also with the resumption of travel post-COVID pandemic.
So what measures are in place or are being stepped up to ensure the virus is not transported back here?
Australia has a really world-class biosecurity system, and I can't speak for the work that the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry does on the border. That is their responsibility. But there is a lot of work that goes into what we call pre-border So the work that we do in countries like Indonesia to help them to control the disease, to reduce the impact, and also the communication that goes out to travellers when they're coming back from countries like Indonesia. There's a lot of information out there on the internet about what travellers can do. Basically, it is about ensuring that their clothing and equipment, their shoes are clean, and that's simply by cleaning it with soapy detergent when they return across the border. As I said, we have a world-class biosecurity system, and many Australians are really familiar with the biosecurity requirements when we come back from overseas. So the important thing for travellers to do is to really follow those instructions and follow those requirements. They're there for a reason, and this is one of those reasons.
So Phoebe, is this already a regional and possibly indeed global threat to agriculture?
Certainly for Southeast Asia and the Pacific, this is an increased risk, and certainly countries like Timor-Leste and Papua New Guinea are really on high alert because they have land borders with Indonesia, and they're countries that have traditionally struggled to respond to diseases. And Australia, the Australian government has been doing a lot of work in each of those countries, including Indonesia, for decades to help them to detect quickly and respond to these sort of diseases. So we've been very much in tune, and the work has certainly stepped up in the last month or two in helping those countries to potentially detect something early and respond quickly.